Hey people, what's happening? Just another do-rag thought, I guess. But no, this is coming from my heart. I just want to encourage people to stay away from people who tell you to stay in your lane. All right? Let me tell you something. You've got one life to live. It's your birthright to try as many different things as you want. I get criticized for, trying this, doing a bit of that. I love it. It's what I'm here for. If you want to try something different of your life, go for it, all right? If you're a painter and decorator and you want to be a boxer, you try that. If you're an accountant and you want to be a ballet dancer, you go for that. That's your birthright, okay? I get criticized by people who stay in their lane, that haven't got the confidence to try anything else, and that's boring. Do you know what I mean? Life's too short for that. And I encourage you to stay away from people like that, or at least challenge them, and do your thing, all right? Do your thing. Don't get pigeonholed into a box. Understand?
Okay, time to respond to some of the comments. Now, we got over 100 comments off that one video. Now, we've got O behind the camera, so O's going to do the hard work. He's going to bring out some of the most controversial comments in the sense of good and the ugly. And I'm going to give my response on what I think about them. So, O, start with the first comment, please.
So the first question,
Cool.
or comment that you had, it says, wearing a hat like this just makes this articulate and intelligent man seem like a cretin.
Okay, Cretin. Now, I had to actually Google what Cretin was. It's not a compliment, to say the least. Now, when I first saw this comment, and of course you've seen the video, hopefully you didn't skip over it, I got annoyed. I got annoyed simply because I knew the do-rag, which Idris is wearing, is not what he was going for. I think a lot of people, and rightly so, see the do-rag and it has a lot of stigmas with it. It's associated, of course, with gang culture. What's a shame though is it took away from his message. Now, the do-rag itself is nothing violent. And unfortunately, when I first saw it, I got really enraged by this comment. Because I knew what do-rag was. And I was like, how dare he call him a cretin and say that it takes away from the message? Out of the 167 comments we had, I think we only had 2 negative ones, and this was one of them. And the other one was also based on the do-rag. Now, for me, I wanted to respond with just as much kind of negativity towards him. But what I thought was actually not sympathy, but I empathize with him, because what I understand is if you don't know what it is, then I understand your perception will appear like that. So for me, what I thought instead was I responded with something which was a little bit more neutral. Something that was a lot more educational. Because what I realized is online, everyone can see what you do. Now, unfortunately for him, everyone knows who he is now. And I imagine he's good at his job. But unfortunately, that one comment is going to have an impact on what he does. And I knew that the response I gave him would give some sort of impact. So we have to understand, and what I kind of want to take away from that comment specifically, is there's no right or wrong perception on the do-rag. But more so of when you are talking about something online, everyone can see it and there's always something watching. So just be careful. Be careful what you say, and make sure that when you do say something, that everyone's got an opinion, but that is backed up to some degree. Don't be arrogant, don't be ignorant. And if you are going to be ignorant, educate that person. Next comment, please, O.
So next comment was by
Drum roll, please. Luke.
his comment was,
Cool.
true growth only comes from challenging yourself to do things that are unfamiliar to you. You haven't lost anything by trying.
Nice. And I like this one because it reminds me of something we recently posted on Instagram, which was the idea that you should do something every day that scares you. Why on earth should you do that? Now, I'm going to give you a quick analogy. When you're in your car and you come around a bend and you come around maybe a bit too sharp and you lose a little bit of control and you nearly crash, and then what you find is that you then regain control and you're driving in a straight line. That drive in the straight line is the sweetest drive in a straight line you've probably ever had. Your heart comes back down to normal, your blood pressure relaxes a little bit, and that drive, as boring as it is, but after losing control, you appreciate it a lot more. So why am I getting at this? I've recently taken up martial arts, and it scares me every time I go training. But it's that taste and dance with death which makes you appreciate the really good things in life that we take for granted, like reading, like the people around us. So what I want to take from that comment is, we need to do something that scares us every day. Something that challenges us and makes us leave our ego at the front door. Because only then do we really grow. Because where there's discomfort, there's progress. Next comment. I think we've only got 2 more left.
So, the next comment is by Harpo.
Okay.
And the question is, or the comment is, the process of unlearning what we are taught to then uncover what we already know within us is key.
Oh, that's deep. That's deep. And I like that. And when I first read it, I had to reread it. I was like, okay, where's this going? But then when I unpacked it, it made me realize that this is exactly what we teach. The process of learning anything is you have to evaluate what you currently know. And as you understand that actually there's some bad habits. They always say that many drivers who get back into a car with a driving instructor find out that they would probably fail their test because they've picked up all these bad habits. It's the same with reading. Many of us haven't had a class called reading since the age of 10, at least here in the UK. So people are surprised why it takes so long to improve their reading speed, or why they've never heard of it. Is because for 10, 20, 30, in some cases 40 years, we've believed that we can't improve our reading speed and that we can't get rid of that little voice in our head when we read. No wonder, we've been using it for 30 years. So before you can learn something new or before you can move forward, you need to know what's holding you back. It's the same with reading, it's the same with sports, pretty much it's the same with life. Once you know what's holding you back, you can then reveal the things you don't know. So thank you for that comment. I see O's currently on Instagram. He's my marketer too, so he's a man of many talents. So next comment, and I think it's the final one. Excellent.
This is by someone called Gordon James.
Oh, cool.
And his comment was, so I totally agree. Trying out something new and challenging yourself is very important.
Yeah.
Definitely the case in the wonderful world of information and technology.
Yeah.
Go Idris.
Go Idris. This was a common theme throughout the whole video in the comment section. Everyone loves Idris, apart from those 2 people. And they loved the message he was talking about. Now, with this comment, there was a couple of things I wanted to unpack here. And the first one was technology. As beautiful as technology is now and how we can all hear various people's messages and we have a platform, there's one negative thing that comes with technology, and that is our memory, or our ability to remember. Because we now have our phones that not only are calculators, but they can store and become our second brains. Now I asked O before we start filming how many numbers does he actually know off by heart, and I'm going to throw it again. How many? 2. And that's your number and home number, and I think that's a common theme, even for myself. Now the reason is because we don't need to remember it. Given 10, 15, 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. And I'm sure if you ask your mum, your dad, and definitely your grandparents, they will be able to give you probably 10 plus numbers they can remember. It's because now we've become so reliant on technology, we don't have to use this. Now I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because even as the memory trainer, I don't know more numbers because once again, we remember things that are important. What's really key is knowing when to fall back on technology and when to actually spend a little bit more effort to remember something important. So bear that in mind throughout your daily lives. That technology is great, but make that little bit of effort to work out the calculation, the equation, without going to your phone. Make that little effort to remember someone's number when you first meet them before putting it into your phone. And soon enough, you'll believe that you've got good memory. So for now, that's all. We've broken down the Idris video. Once again, thank you for the engagement. It was an incredible post. And of course, like I say, if you get negative comments, there's 2 ways you can handle it. Ignore it or educate them. Take your time before responding to them because of course you will be emotive. I was as well. I took my time, I came back, I reflected and thought actually there might be some ignorance to this because he's not educated. But once you know, it's easy. So we'll see you in the next children's journey. Ciao for now.